Welcome back to the Next Is Now podcast. This is Max Feldman. Shortly here, I'm going to have my guys Chase Baudrin and Jeff Covener hopping on. We've got two new camps coming up later this summer in late July. First, our Next Up camp, as well as our Next Level camp. They're going to be breaking down some more, providing a ton of details about that. So let's get right into it. Chase, Jeff, appreciate you guys taking some time here to hop on. Today, we're going to be breaking down the new Next Up camp as well as the Next Level camp. So I'm just going to hand you guys the reins here, starting with Chase. Heading into this summer season, this is obviously a new camp on the high school side. So can you tell me a little bit more about the Next Up camp?
Yeah, it's something I think we're really excited about with our first ever Made Hoops Next Up camp. Obviously, everyone knows about our middle school academies and the success those we've had with and the players that have come through those academies. And so this was something we wanted to build on with that on the high school side. It's going to be for class of 25 or 26 and 27 kids. It's going to be an overnight camp. So that's a new added bonus for us as well at Jefferson University. And really the focus of it is to bring some of the top players or the quote unquote next up kids in the country together to obviously compete and do some stuff on the floor with some high level coaching and teaching, but also give them an idea of what we think makes players successful at the next level off the court as well. And so we'll be bringing in guys like Chad Brown, who does a profile IQ type test that a lot of Division I schools are using to evaluate their players and prospects. It really gives them an idea of who they are and the kind of player that they are on and off the floor. And like I said, we're excited about doing that. We'll do some NIL training, some media training, whether that be on-floor interviews, post-game interviews, podcasts. We'll do film sessions in the classroom. We'll do some combine testing and really give you an idea of kind of where you're stacking up nationally against, like we said, those next up players. So it's something we're really excited to launch. Like I said, it's going to be coming here soon at the end of July. A lot of our invites are starting to go out now, and you'll be seeing that it flooded across our social media as the guys that'll be in attendance here soon.
Absolutely. Jeff, MHC has been a huge success for Made in year one. Can you speak on the Next Level camp and how that is going to benefit kids in the class of 2025?
Yeah, I mean, a big goal for us is just always continuing to raise the bar on what we can do to help our guys. MHC so far, through the spring with DMV Live and guys heading into their June high school live periods, we've had a lot of momentum with, a bunch of kids getting offers, a ton of interest. We've had some commitments on the MHC side. So it's kind of what's the natural next step for us, and insert Next Level camp here coming at the end of July in Philadelphia. This is going to be a camp where it is very heavily focused on college prep and getting ready for that level. It is a completely, the three of us on here know it's a completely different animal when you go from high school to college, not just on the floor, but the entirety of a day for a college basketball player. It's, being ready for a 6 a.m. workout and then having 2 hours of class to a film session, team meal to a practice to a walkthrough to scout and film. And it's just a much fuller day than what guys are used to right now. So what we want to try to provide for our MHC kids and outside kids as well is a camp environment that kind of will lead to what that next level entails. So Next Level camp will be a big focus on our top 2025 MHC players. You'll see a lot of the top commitments for that camp coming out here over the next few days with our MHC guys. And it's a camp we're really excited about. And as I said before, we're going to really show them and put them through essentially like what a model summer practice or summer day at the college level would be. So it's going to be coached by college coaches. So we'll have current Division II and Division III coaches as our staff. So they'll get on-court workouts and training and skill development from college coaches. We'll do classroom sessions. We'll teach them how college coaches break down film. We'll show them how college coaches create scouting reports and break those down, specific by, game to game and team to team. So again, it's something we're really excited for as kind of the gradual next step in the progression of MHC players getting ready to play at the college level.
Absolutely. Going back to Chase, what would you say? Obviously, it's a busy time of the year this summer in terms of all these different camps. What do you think makes the Next Up camp different than most others?
Yeah, I think for us, the cool thing we enjoy about camp is it gives us a little bit more of a personal or intimate environment to be around these kids, to not only one, evaluate them and kind of give them feedback on where we think they are, but also two, it brings, like I said, kids from all circuits, from all areas of the country together in one setting where we can really get an idea of who those next up kids are and who can separate themselves from the bunch. Again, the on court stuff is always going to be a priority, but here at 𝘼aximizing, I think we take a big responsibility in helping prepare kids for what the next steps are. And so it's our responsibility to teach them the things that we've seen from either conversations with college coaches or players who have come up through the ranks with us that are now at the next level, and show them to the next generation or the next up kids of what it takes and what it looks like. Speakers, former Division I college coaches or NBA players that we bring come down to talk to them about their experience through classroom sessions, through the strength and conditioning segments and programming, whether it's a nutritionist that we bring in to talk about how are you continually helping your body develop, or how are you recovering post-practice or post-game. And so that's a responsibility that we don't take lightly. And so it's not just for us to bring the best players in and roll the basketball out and let them just play. We want to teach, and we want them to walk away from camp feeling like they're prepared for whatever those next steps are. And it's kind of all encompassing when it comes to basketball.
No doubt. Jeff, you talked a little bit about it in your last answer, but why do you think this camp is so important for rising seniors?
Here's the reality, Max. It's hard to be a high school basketball player right now that's trying to earn a scholarship. I've said this previously, but the scholarship number is the same, and the pool is just closing in on these guys with, there's still another year of the COVID year for guys coming back. The transfer rules are really hurting some of the high school guys. And like you have conversations with these, Division I, Division II, and down to Division III coaches of like, it's hard for them to even get out and see these kids. Into the NCAA moved the live period back to May, which was good. And I think it has been beneficial, but even in person at DMV Live, guys are like, it's just really hard for us. We're still in the transfer portal. I still got three roster spots for 2024 that I have to fill. So all of that being said, it's like, what can we do, as an event operator that has, some pretty good relationships and has the platform to help kids? What can we do to increase our players' chances when kind of the odds are stacked against them? So this camp is one of those things. It's just another resource for them where they will have direct access to college coaches and really get a feel for what it's like. I want them to hear from college coaches that are in the space right now, from their mouths, like telling them how hard it is. I want them to know. I don't want this to be this kind of novelty that people talk about, but the kids don't really understand it. I want them to understand the climate that they're in right now is very difficult. And, Chase talked about our responsibility with Made Hoops as something we don't take lightly. We really stand on that. Like we want to give our kids the best opportunity to play at the next level, whatever level that is. And this next level camp for our 2025s is kind of that next step of you've played at that point. They would have finished out the live periods. What's the next thing we can do to help your recruitment chances? What's the next thing we can do to put you in front of college coaches? What's the next thing we can do to continue your college preparation as you head into your senior year of high school? So that's kind of the benefit of this camp and why we're so excited to launch it this year. The talent's going to be really high level. The coaching staff's going to be really high level, and the programming is going to be really high level. So it's something where I think kids will ultimately be very excited to participate in the camp, and will leave the camp with a much, a more heightened sense of what it really takes in the current recruiting climate to earn a scholarship or just to play college basketball at any level. So I think that's something that is exciting to us that we're going to be able to provide to our 2025 athletes.
Definitely. You guys have hinted at it a little bit and talked a little bit about the off-court programming, but I'll go to Chase here first with the Next Up camp. What do you think in terms of the off-court programming? What do you think the importance of that is and what makes it so unique?
Yeah, I think, like you said, that it's the responsibility that we take at Made Hoops in preparing these kids for the next level. As Jeff even spoke about with just preparing for college and what it's like being a part of a program. As someone who was a part of a college staff for 3 years, there's a lot more that goes into it than just on the basketball floor, from a coach's perspective and from a player's perspective. And so we want these players who we feel are on that track or want to be on that track to playing in a college program to understand what that responsibility is and what it looks like. Like I said, and that's part of our responsibility of being guardians of the game, is exposing these players to those things. And so, yeah, obviously the basketball is going to be the focal point, but the classroom sessions, the nutrition, the recovery, the strength and conditioning are all things that are separators in a climate that Jeff spoke about is just hard to navigate right now. And I think we're all learning as we go, but I think it allows us to give kids who attend camp, who have been in Made Hoops, who play in the MHC, whatever it may be, to understand what they can be doing to separate themselves. At the end of the day, when you get to college, there's going to be a ton of talented basketball players on the floor who can score, who can defend, who can do things at a really high level. What are you doing to stand out to these coaches? What are you doing to stand out in the mix of players that catches a coach's attention? And that's, I think, what's so important to us is the stuff off of the floor. And that's why we're going to be bringing in the best of the best when it comes to that. I think NIL is something that is also new, and there are some states that are allowing it now for high school kids. How can we help these kids put themselves in positions to market themselves? How can we help prepare you for life after basketball? And that's a long way away for a lot of these kids, but it still is something that they need to start to think about or understand that it's just as important. And so that media training and like I said, how to maybe create your own podcast or whatever it may be, we want to give these kids those opportunities to experience those things. And maybe that can be something that is a passion of theirs that they pursue alongside of the basketball stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just to touch on Chase's point, like the reality of the situation, there's a lot of basketball camps throughout the country. There's a ton. And every basketball camp, you're going to play games. There's going to be skill workouts. The basketball is the basketball. We will try to elevate the on-court product as well. But our ability to kind of be, cutting edge in the space and continually try to stay ahead of the curve is what I think will ultimately separate our camp. To the points that Chase made with like the earlier these kids can understand how important it is to market themselves as players, but also just as how can they show their personality? How can they build themselves as a brand? Like that's what this climate is now with NIL. And I don't have all the answers. I don't think anyone on this call has all the answers, but through our relationships with Made Hoops, we believe we do have the ability to bring in professionals that have a lot more answers than we do, that can ultimately make a huge impact on the players that attend camps, that by the time they leave, they're really going to know this. They're going to have an understanding on a really difficult space, both through NIL, through media, and through the eyes of what people in the industry truly look for, not just what they've heard from, maybe a high school coach or an AU coach or someone like, myself or Chase as event operators. That we want to bring in guys that are a lot smarter than we are, to really help these kids have a true understanding of what being a basketball player in 2024 and beyond really looks like.
For sure. To close out, you guys have talked about it a little bit, but in specific, in terms of like shaping these camps and like how they're structured and on court, off court stuff, how is the current recruiting climate, the transfer portal? How does this help kids just prepare themselves for college in different ways than they would, whether it be high school, AAU, other camp settings?
Yeah, I think speaking to that, Max, obviously, like we said, it's going to have a lot of off-court programming that is included in it. But here's the reality is they're going to be coming off of a busy summer season when it comes to just playing basketball in general. And we understand that. And so we don't want you just coming to camp after those live periods wrap up and just doing on-court stuff all day long. Is that important? And are we basketball junkies and love that? 100%. But there is a whole other side of it that we think is important. And I think that's what's so exciting about these camps is it is going to be new things potentially for a lot of these kids that they have never experienced, that us three and the industry and coaches think are just as important. And that allows us to, like I said, have those personal or intimate conversations with these kids in a camp environment where we're with them for 3 days and they're asking questions and we're giving them feedback on, hey, this is what it looks like. This is what a 6 a.m. conditioning session looks like. And then, like Jeff said, you're heading to breakfast and then you have class, and it's, are you responsible enough on your own to be able to handle those things? And what does that look like? And how can you have some things prepared so when you get in those situations, you don't have to learn on the fly and you're ahead of the curve, or you can separate yourself and a coach sees, hey, he's got it figured out. He's stretching on his own before the game, or he can pick up on a concept that I'm teaching and then we go and do it on the floor and I don't have to show it again. And I think that's what we're trying to emphasize at these camps is all of the things that are going to be expectations or non-negotiables for college programs. And so again, we're super excited about it. The basketball is always going to be the main thing. And there's going to be some high level on-court programming, teaching, playing, like I said, 5-on-5, all of those things. But I think we as Made Hoops need to do a better job. And this is why we're running these camps of showing those kids the other things. And I think that's what makes this camp so great, whether it's next up or next level. It's that progression. You start with us in middle school in our circuits, then you come to our middle school academies. Now you can play with us in MHC or in our warm-ups, and now you have camp opportunities as well. Our next up with our 26 and 27 are our, like I said, that young underclassmen, and then it develops into that next level. So now you have a whole time frame of things that you've done through Made Hoops that we hope at the end of the day, when you get that scholarship or you go to that college program, you can say, I'm prepared for what's expected.
No doubt. Absolutely. Jeff, anything to add there?
No, I mean, I think Chase nailed it. So I don't want to hit all the same points. The one point that I really do want to emphasize that he said that we haven't talked about a ton on this pod is the ability to retain info when you're by yourself. When you get to college, you don't have a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, or who's ever kind of been guiding you with your decisions through high school and AAU. You are on your own, and Chase can attest to this as a former Division I assistant. That like guys, self accountability is the most important part of their success. Like if you are not responsible to your working out and your nutrition and the way you eat and your study hall and making sure your classes are in order, if you're not doing all of that, it really doesn't matter how good of a basketball player you are at the end of the day. So we want to provide all of that information, show all of it, and see which kids can respond and see which kids can hear the info in real time and then go do it at our camps, both on the floor and with some of the off-court stuff that we talked about. So again, we're really excited. I'm super excited. I think camp is a really unique experience to get one-on-one conversations that you don't often get to have throughout the year with some people and at some high levels. And it's something that we take really big responsibility in providing the best platform for them with camps.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate you guys hopping on. Look forward to seeing some more of these invite announcements up here pretty soon.
Stay tuned to social. We got a lot of big time players coming to all these camps. So get locked in with Made Hoops on Twitter and Instagram, and I think you'll be we got some surprises and a lot of really big time players coming through the camp this summer.
Love it. Appreciate it.